We are here in Collier & Thompson's gorgeous demo kitchen to do this month's cheat, which is lobster bisque.
That's right.
How do you cheat lobster bisque?
Well, the way you make lobster bisque, and everybody's way too familiar with the comical scene of, you know, trying to stuff the live lobster into the stock pot.
That's not comical. That's kind of...
I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And last year for Valentine's Day, I knew I wanted to do lobster bisque, and I just did not want to kill the lobster. I just didn't want to do it. And so I played around with it, and I came up with a way to do it with just the tails.
Because one of the reasons why you want to do it with the whole lobster is because you create a lobster stock. And so here, we're kind of cheating the stock portion. Is that the cheat?
We're using some store-made seafood stock.
Okay.
But the other thing you get from the whole lobster is just a lot of flavor from the shells and from the organs, and all of that really cooks in. So we're adding some different proportions of tomato paste and lobster meat and lobster shell to kind of make up for that rich, flavorful product you want.
Cool. And we're going to start with just some mise en place.
Yeah, we're just going to get our stuff together. We're doing your standard mirepoix, onions, carrots, and celery. I've already got that cut up.
Okay.
It's just a rough chop. Everything's going to be pureed in the end, so you don't have to worry about any knife skills. That's one of the great things about this. But I did want to show the people at home how to clean a leek.
Yes.
So we're just going to slice it lengthwise.
Okay.
We're just going to do them individually, make sure it's nice and clean. We've got a couple cloves of garlic, and we're only going to smash these. The orange zest does two things. Not only does it add the acid you're looking for, but it adds a pop.
All right, let's get cooking.
All right, so we've got all of our mirepoix done. Next, we need to get our lobster ready.
Okay.
All right, so our tails, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick it up on the underneath side with our kitchen shears. We are going to cut lengthwise. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing.
Now, for people that decide, no, I want to do it with the whole lobster, what is the truly humane way
Knife
to
through the back of the head.
Okay.
That's the most humane, the quickest way.
Do not just throw it into a pot of water, please.
They stay alive for a little bit in there, and I think that that is just terrible. The best way is just quick and easy. All right, we've got our lobster cut up. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to pull out some nice meat, and I'm going to set it aside.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to saute it in a little butter and garnish the soup with it.
Gorgeous. Okay. Now, tell us what these other ingredients are.
This is a little bit of dry sherry.
Okay.
Lobster bisque needs some sort of alcohol in it. You can do sherry, cognac, brandy, whatever you have a flavor desire for. I really like the effect of sherry. It's very dry.
Now, explain why you're adding rice.
We're adding rice as a thickener.
Okay.
Traditionally, bisque is thickened with rice. That's the...
As opposed to a flour?
As opposed to a flour. Typically, when you make soups, you either start with a roux or you sprinkle a little flour in at the end, and that develops that, rich, creamy body that you want in your soup. And bisque, you use rice.
Because it's going to be pureed, so you're not going to get pieces of rice in the soup.
You're not. Everything's pureed, and we strain it through really nice. And this is raw, too. That's important. We're not using cooked rice. We're using raw rice. It's going to cook into the soup. The starch is going to release into the liquid, and it's going to thicken.
Awesome.
So we've got our oil and our butter. We've got a little popping going on. Just spread that around, and we're going to throw in our lobster.
Okay.
All right. Now we're getting these shells nice, bright orange because, one, it's going to add to the color of the soup. It's going to give us that nice orange color that you're looking for at the end. Because, some people may not realize this, but the shells stay in. Now, the real secret to making soup. You have to make love to this soup.
Okay.
Every chef will tell you, you got to make love to your soup. It's a slow process, and it's all about building layer upon layer of flavor. I've said that over and over again. So every step of the way, you need to season. Every time you add another ingredient, add a little bit more salt and pepper. You're just building another layer of flavor as you go. Now we're going to add the tomato paste for color.
Okay.
For flavor. It's high in acid. Again, we need a little bit more acid. And we're also going to caramelize it a little bit, which is going to help the color, and it's going to develop, again, more flavor. The next thing we're going to add is that dry sherry we were talking about earlier. Now, again, it's going to add some flavor, but the best part of this is you'll start to get these little brown bits on the bottom of the pan. Adding alcohol to your hot pan, you scrape up those brown bits, and you're just getting every last bit of that flavor that cooked to the bottom of the pan. We're going to add a whole bay leaf, and we're going to add a sprig of thyme, and we're going to add our seafood stock.
So how do you know when you're ready to go to the next step?
You just want to give it a minute to simmer, and if you look at the color of the liquid we've got, it's got that orange color.
Okay.
So you know that the flavors have incorporated a little bit. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the heavy cream. And we're just going to stir that in slowly, and we're going to let this cook for about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Just stirring periodically, making sure that it's not cooking to the bottom of the pan. We'll come back and we'll puree it and go from there. you want to make sure that you kind of get on top of a couple pieces of the shell and really break that up, because that's what's giving you a lot of the flavor. It's giving you a lot of color. It's going to make some horrible noises, but your blender can take it.
Now, if you were in a restaurant, you'd be using a chinois strainer.
Yes, we would. If you don't have that, we're just using a regular colander. We're just doing 2 sheets of cheesecloth. We damped it a little bit so it sticks to the colander.
Okay.
But I'm going to ladle this in here, and I'm straining it into a clean pan.
Okay.
I've got it back on heat here, and we're doing a couple of finishing things over here. One very important thing is we're going to finish it with a little bit of cream. But the very important part of that is we're going to heat the cream first. There we go.
This looks so beautiful.
And then you can garnish it with a little fresh chives, a couple drops of truffle oil, or you can just
that
leave
would
it
be
plain
nice.
and go.
Perfect. Let's taste it. Oh my God, that is so good. And it took like an hour to make. It's incredibly complex. That is amazing. And the
Lots of
leek
depth and
really has a lot of presence in that. And the sherry really rounds it out. That is fantastic. I'm making this at home.